May God, who has begun this good work in you, bring it to fulfillment.
Hi, thank you for being with us today as we celebrate Divine Mercy Sunday. I just want to start by sharing part of the prayer that St. Faustina received from Jesus as we pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet. The prayer goes like this: Eternal God, in whom mercy is endless and a treasury of compassion inexhaustible, look kindly upon us and increase your mercy in us. My dear family, today as we celebrate Divine Mercy Sunday, it's all about trusting in God's divine mercy. And especially if you are discerning a vocation to the priesthood or to the religious life, we truly need to count on God's divine mercy to help us to be able to hear God's call, to understand God's call, and to receive that mercy. I remember whenever I started to discern the call to priesthood, my pastor, Father DePaul, said the first thing I needed to do was to have a good spiritual director. And he hooked me up with the spiritual director that I still have to this day, Father Lester Knoll. And just constantly, through spiritual direction, I was able to encounter God's mercy. And that's what God's plan is for all of us. I give you a little bit of information from St. Faustina's life, and I think it helps shed some light on your call, your vocation, if you're discerning a vocation to the priesthood or the religious life. St. Faustina struggled with God's call in her life, and she entered the religious order, and through her spiritual director realized that God was asking her to go deeper, and how he inspired her, especially during adoration, to understand that whole ministry of mercy, of his mercy, and to trust in him. St. Faustina died in 1938, and after her death, many people started to have devotion to God's mercy, to the Chaplet of Mercy, and to her writings. But by 1959, all of her writings in the chaplet were put on the forbidden list of the church. You were not allowed to do any of it because the church did not understand them. In 1965, a bishop by the name of Karol Wojtyła, he asked permission to start investigating St. Faustina's life and her writings, and to see what was going on, to shed some light on them. So he started that in 1965, okay? By April of 1978, he took all the information that he had gathered and he took it to Rome, and permission was given to again resume devotion to the Chaplet of Mercy, to read St. Faustina's diary, and to be able to pray the Chaplet of Mercy. And what was fascinating was 6 months after that, that same bishop who started investigating St. Faustina's life in 1965, 6 months later, in 1978, that same bishop was named the Pope of our church, and he took the name Pope John Paul II. My dear family, as we gather here today, is God asking you to be a religious sister or a religious brother, a priest? The only way to really hear God's call is to embrace his mercy. The best place to do that is in the sacrament of confession and reconciliation. Find a good confessor and go monthly to that confessor. But also find a good spiritual director. If it could be the same person as your confessor, that'd be even better. And go, lean on that sacrament, and then embrace God's mercy and listen. And as you listen, it will become clearer and clearer if God's calling you to serve the church as a religious sister, as a brother, or as a priest. So I go back to that prayer, the Divine Mercy prayer. Eternal God, in whom mercy is endless and the treasury of compassion inexhaustible, look kindly upon us and increase your mercy in us. My dear family, today that's the prayer for each of us, that God increase his mercy in us And as we discern His call in our own lives, as we embrace that mercy, let's trust that He's asking each of us, no matter what our calling is in life, to share that divine mercy with all of those around us.